Hello students, I am Fred Asibe, your subject teacher. In today's lesson, I'll be teaching on a topic called isometric drawing. Yes, you heard me. I said isometric drawing. That's today's topic. Now before I proceed, I want us to look at the objective of today's lesson. Now the objective of today's lesson is that at the end of this lesson, you should be able to explain isometric drawing. 2. State the uses of isometric drawing. The last and not the least being 3. Draw isometric drawing of simple shape blocks. Let me come again. I said by the end of today's lesson, you should be able to explain the isometric drawing, number 1. 2. State the uses of isometric drawing. 3. Draw isometric drawing of simple shapes. Now, we all know that in drawing practice, objects can be drawn in a pictorial or orthographic form. So objects can either be drawn in pictorial form or orthographic form. Now let's start with pictorial drawing. Now every pictorial drawing represents objects in 3 dimensions. That is length, width, and height. You don't want to call it height, you can say depth or thickness. Now let's look at method of pictorial drawing. Now the method of pictorial drawing representation are isometric drawing, oblique drawing, perspective drawing. I come again. I say method of pictorial drawing representation are isometric drawing, oblique drawing, perspective drawing. Now let's start with the number 1, isometric drawing, which is the topic for today. Yes, we want to start with isometric drawing, which is the objective of today's lesson. Now, an isometric drawing is a pictorial method of drawing an object in which the receding lines are drawn at 30 degrees and others are vertical. Let me come again. I said an isometric drawing is a pictorial method of drawing an object in which the receding lines are drawn at 30 degrees and others are vertical. Yes, that's exactly what isometric drawing. So that's one of the features. It means that the features of isometric drawing is that every isometric drawing has one true face and a slanting size drawn at 30 degrees. Yes, the slanting sides are drawn at 30 degrees. In other words, what it means is that 30 degrees set square is very useful in isometric drawing. Yes, when I talk about 30 degrees set square, I'm talking about using a set square. Remember, we have 2 types of set square. Please take note of this. It's very, very important. And that's where the students make a lot of mistakes. Now, this is 45 degrees. Please take note of this. This isosceles triangle. Remember, we said something about isosceles triangle. Touch the subscribe on that your YouTube to have access to other videos. You see where we talked about types of triangles. The isosceles triangle of this kind, your set square now, is what we call 45 degrees set square. Why this one is the 60 and 30 degrees. And if you're talking about 30 degrees set square, it is just this space. You know, this angle here is smaller than this other angle. This is the 90 degrees. Remember, we told you about scaling triangle. This is a good example of scaling triangle. Please, I'm just trying to explain this so that you don't make mistake, because that's the common mistake students make in exams. So if you're asked to draw isometric drawing, you expect to use this very angle. Take note, and not this one. Some students usually use this side of the angle, which is 60, while this side is 30. So they use this 60 instead of this. So the correct one to use is this 30 degrees. Please take note of that. So when you're placing your isometric drawing, if you want to draw, you have to keep it there. Make sure you place the angles here. To get the 30 degrees, you have to place the angle on your T-square. Remember, the T-square can support set squares. Place it on the T-square, then draw the 30 degrees. Don't use this, please. It's wrong. And don't even use this other one, this isosceles triangle. Don't use this for isometric. This is not for isometric. Where we can use this is oblique drawing. That's 45 degrees. because the base angles here are 45 degrees. Please take note of this. It's very, very important, because sometimes students go as far as using this instead of this other set square. So this is the what we call the 30-degree set square. Don't use this. Take note again. Don't use this side. Use this side. I hope it's noted. Yeah. All right. So like I told you, the set square is very, very important. It means that 30-degree set square is very, very useful in isometric drawing and projection. So it's better to also complete the lines. If you're drawing, complete these lines with construction lines. So it's better to complete the drawing in construction lines. What I mean by construction line is thin lines. When you're drawing, draw with thin lines. Don't draw with thick lines. Don't just draw in a way that the line will be so thick. We call those thin lines construction lines, faint lines. So that if there's any mistake, you can easily erase it without anyone noticing it. So you also then, after drawing with thin lines, you're drawing, then you now can line in the outlines. The outlines are the thick lines. You now can go back and start drawing the thick lines. And that thick line is what we call the visible outline, to see actually the shape of the object you have drawn. So recall we have done types of lines. Yes, the different types of lines we have. We have the thick line, we have the thin line, and other lines. Now we want to look at the second objective. Now we told you that initially we'll be talking about the explanation of isometric drawing. This time we want to look at the uses of isometric drawing. Some of you will be saying, what is the use of isometric drawing in the society? Yes, the isometric drawing has a lot of uses. Now the following are the uses of isometric drawing. It is used to make quick design and construction of objects in workshop. Yes, before you design, whether factory or design or whatever, anything, this kind of design you want to do, you have to use the isometric drawing. So it is used to make quick design and construction of objects. So that's exactly the uses of isometric drawing. Another one is that it promotes quick and easy understanding of the shape and size of the object you want to construct. Yes, it promotes that quick and easy understanding of the shape and sizes of the object. Now another one is that it gives more realistic impression of the form of an object than the orthographic drawing. It gives you more realistic impression of the form of the object. Remember we told you that orthographic projection is a method of drawing objects by means of plane views. So using plane views is not enough. The isometric gives you that realistic impression how the object appears. So that's exactly what the isometric drawing is used for. Now I want to look at the main topic, which is the last side of the objective, which is not the least. That's isometric drawing of simple blocks. Isometric drawing of a simple shape block. Yes. Now I want to see how to draw isometric, which is the main thing today. Now we want to start. Now let's look at the example. For instance, you may be asked a question like this. Let me just draft up a question. Let me say example. Draw. Let's say you are asked to draw the block in isometric projection. As shown below. Maybe you have this example. You're asked to draw the isometric projection as shown below. Let's say we want to draw an object that looks like this one, a simple one for that matter, a cube, something that looks like a cube. Okay, let me just have a picture of something of this nature. Maybe I'm just making a freehand sketch of something, but we're going to draw it so that you learn something from it. This is a shape. I want to drop a shape that looks like this one. All right, something of this nature. And from the diagram or from the drawing, you have something of this nature. Maybe probably this side is angle 30 degrees. This place is also 30 degrees. Remember, we told you that isometric drawing is nothing but drawing where it's a type of drawing in which the receding lines are drawn at 30 degrees. That's why I did this. So remember the definition I told you, that it's a pictorial method of drawing objects. This is a pictorial. This is what we call pictorial method of drawing objects in which the receding lines, these are the receding lines, in which the receding lines are drawn at 30 degrees. It is drawn at 30 degrees from the horizontal. This is a horizontal line. This, you can call this a receding lines. So this, you can call it receding line or literal size. So it is drawn at 30 degrees from the horizontal. Now, this is what isometric is, and other lines are vertical. These are vertical lines from the definition I told you. So let me go back to that definition to tell you actually what isometric is all about. I told you earlier that an isometric drawing is a pictorial method of drawing an object, just like I've just drawn this object. Are you seeing that now, class? It's a pictorial method of drawing an object in which the receding lines, you can see the receding lines. These are receding lines. These literal lines are called receding lines, in which the receding lines are drawn at 30 degrees. You can see this is 30 degrees. And others are vertical. This is vertical, vertical. So every line that is going like this are receding lines. And these lines are drawn at 30 degrees from the horizontal here. So that's exactly what the definition of isometric drawing is. So when we talk about isometric drawing, is a pictorial method of drawing. This is pictorial. This is what's called pictorial. This thing I've done here now is pictorial method of drawing an object in which the receding lines are all drawn at 30 degrees. And other lines are vertical. This is vertical. This is vertical. Vertical. You should know what is vertical. This is vertical. This is also vertical. This is vertical. But these ones here are receding lines. And these lines are towards 30 degrees. So that's what isometric drawing is all about. Now we'll continue from our question. Suppose we have a drawing like this. I've drawn the object. This is a pictorial drawing of a cube. So let's call it a cube. A simple one, because we want to understand how to draw this isometric. Let me say this line is I'm making a freehand sketch. Suppose you have a question of this nature. Maybe you have another line. This is not drawing. Oh, please take note. I'm just only trying to set a question. We are going how to draw a question that will teach us how to draw isometric. We have 50 millimeter here. This is 50 millimeter. This is a simple shape, a cube. Maybe you extend. These are dimensions. I'm just trying to bring out the dimension. You have another dimension. This is freehand. I'm just trying to use freehand to set a question. Maybe the distance from this point to this point should be, let's say, since it's a cube, let's call it cube. It's 50. Every dimension part of it should be 50-50. This other side is also 50 millimeter. So let's have something of this nature. So suppose you're asked to draw the block in isometric projection as shown below. And this is what is given to you in exam. Now, how do you go about this? Now, to solve this problem, first of all, you have to start by drawing. Let's say we want to answer the question now. Now, to start this, first of all, you have to write solution. You want to answer the question. Yes, let's answer our question. This is a question given to us. Yes, suppose we are given this to answer. This is a question given to us for us to answer. So now what we have to do now, first of all, is to write solution. We want to solve the problem. Now to draw this, first of all, what you do is use your T-square. You have to draw what we call quadrant, something that looks like quadrant. You can see, if you look at this thing given to you here, this object, if you look at the diagram here, you can see there's something that looks like a kind of vertical line meeting the horizontal line. This is what we call quadrant. So that's the first thing you have to do in your drawing before you start. To do that, you have to set your T-square. This is the T-square. Measure the stock. This is what we call the stock of the T-square. Make sure the stock of this T-square is aligned with the edge of the board, edge of the drawing board. Then measure the stock. This is the blade of the T-square. This is the blade. Why this is called the stock? make sure it's well fitted. That is, it's well fitted. It's very tight at the edge of the board. This is to ensure that every horizontal line you draw, remember T-square is used in drawing horizontal. That's one of the uses of T-square. Every horizontal line you draw on this drawing, they will all be the same. Now by doing that, so we now we have to draw the horizontal line. Let's assume this is our horizontal line. After drawing the horizontal line, you carry down the T-square down, take the T-square down, draw a vertical line. You can use this, draw a vertical line. Make sure the set square is on this, draw a vertical line. Now having done this, you have drawn something that looks like a quadrant. That's the first thing you have to do. I hope you're all getting that now, students. Now this is the set square I told you, this 30-degree set square. Don't use this, please. I still mention it again. Don't use this side. Use this edge of this square, this vertex. This is where the 30 degrees lies. This is 90, this is 60, this is 30. Remember, this is a triangular shape, and total sum of angle in a triangle is what? 180. That's total sum of angle in a given triangle. Now, since this is 60, this is 30, this is 90, this total sum now will give you 180. So you're using the 30 side. This sharp edge is 30. Don't use this. That's the mistake some students do. So by doing that, we have to place this on the line we drew, on that quadrant line we drew. Place this on your T-square. You can bring your T-square closer. Draw a line from the point where the vertical line, this vertical line meets this horizontal. From the point, this is the point where they meet. From that point, draw a receding line. This is what called receding line. This 30 degrees line is receding. So you can project it any length you want, but in a thin form. Then turn this thing the other round. Still on that same edge, that sharp point I told you is 30. Draw the next other line. It's just as simple as that. I hope you got that, student. Now, you have done this. Now, remember it is 50. Remember that this side of the box is 50. You see the side now, this is 30. What I've just done now is I've drawn this horizontal line. I've drawn this vertical line. That's exactly what I've done. Then this line that is going this side is exactly what I use my set square of 30 degrees to do. I've also done that to this side. I remember I placed it this side and I repeated the same thing by turning the set square other side, and this is what I got. That's exactly what I've just done. So what you're going to do now is to look at the extension of this. Remember, this line is vertical. This line is also vertical. This is vertical. They are all parallel lines. Since they are all vertical lines, they are all what? Parallel lines. So if here is 50, what it means here is also 50. This is also 50. So what you're going to do now is you go back to your drawing and measure out 50, 50. 50 means 50 millimeter means 5 centimeter. So measure the vertical lines 50. You can extend this line to 50. So from this point to this point, it should be 50. So by drawing it, you draw 50. Extend the line from this point. This is where it all started. So make sure you place it at the correct place. Then extend the line to 50. This is where 50 is. Are you seeing it, class? So that's exactly what it is. So you go to this other side and do the same thing. You're going to measure all the vertical sides 50. So by doing that, now you go to this other side. Extend this your T-square horizontally around this area. At that point where it is 50, you can just draw a horizontal line. 18 horizontal line. Are you all seeing that, student? So that's it. Now, placing this, you can still extend this side. You can project it. Since it's a thin line, you can still project it. The reason why is just that we want to create another quadrant around this area to help us, because that 30-degree receding line is very, very important. Now you have this side. Then extend your T-square closer to that point at that 50 side. Are you seeing it now? Then use your set square. Place it. Make sure the T-square stock is well fitted, and this is it. Then place your set square around this area. Are you seeing that? Then draw the same parallel line, receding line. Then turn this other side. Are you seeing that? Turn this other side. Draw the same parallel line. You see, we have just repeated what we did at the bottom side here. Remember when we started, we placed the T-square around this area, set square around this area, which is supporting our set square. The T-square is supporting the set square. We place it here to draw this line. We turned it in the opposite direction. We drew the other line. After doing that, we'll now take up a measurement of the size given to us, which is 50. Remember, it's 50 here. This diagram here is 50, which is the vertical line. So it's also parallel to this other side. And here is also 50. So you now take up the dimension. So taking up the dimension, now you measure up 50 cm, 15 millimeter means 5 cm. So but we have to project the line, extended it. So after extending the line, we now draw up a horizontal line from that point of 50. Then placed our set square, just to repeat what we did here. Are you all getting that now? So we went back to repeat what we did here. So we placed the set square here. After placing the set square, we just turned it opposite side, draw the same side. So that's exactly how to get this other edge. What we have just done now is to draw this other edge and this other edge. Having done this, so we repeated what we did here. We just repeated it. We repeated it here. So what we did here is exactly what we did here. And the same thing we did here is also what we did in this other place. So that's exactly how it is done. So let us continue. So like I earlier told you, this is 30 degrees. You should know that this is 30 degrees now. This is also 30 degrees. Just like the shape here is. So what you're going to do now is to work on what you have. So by doing that, what you're going to do now is to look at this. Now the next thing you're going to do now is to take your dimensions. Now having drawn these receding lines, these are receding lines. They are all receding lines. They are very, very important. Then take the dimension. Remember, the dimension from here is 50. It's a cube. This is 50. So if here is 50, it means here is 50. They are all parallel lines. Here we have also 50. So you take 50 here. So you move around here. So this is what 50 is. So remember, we are taking 50. This is 50. 5 centimeters is 50. From here to this point is 50. So you can mark it up. You can mark it. Come to this point, the same thing, 50. From this point to this other point, it's a simple shape we are just drawing. It's also 50. Come to this point, take this other point from here to this point, from this point to this other point. This is 50. Yes, I'm only just doing a cube because I'm just following up the diagram given to me here. So it's 50, the dimension all over the size is there, 50 millimeters, that's 5 cm. So this is also 50. So what do you do now? And what you're going to do now is to use your set square. Now align your T-square on the edge of the board. Make sure it's always here at the edge of the board, so that to give you the required horizontal line of the T-square. Then go back and then use your set square. Now this time around you're drawing vertical line. Now you join this point. You see it now. See where I'm joining the vertical point. From this point, this is where the 50 I marked. This is actually meeting this point. So join it. Come to this other point. Do the same thing. Join this point from this point to this point. So You can see it is just the same point. So you can see it's just the same thing. So please, so that's exactly what it is. So having done that, the next you're going to do now is to draw up this other vertical line. Now remember I told you the receding lines are very important as far as this drawing is concerned. So at all age, drop a vertical line to avoid missing the receding line. So you can draw up another horizontal line from this point. So this is another horizontal line. This is another horizontal line from this other point. Another horizontal line. So having done that, you see, use your set square and move over there. Then create another one. Draw this. Remember, this is the edge you're using. Please take note of that. Draw another receding line. Now, having done that, you turn up this other page. Remember, you're using this other. Turn it the other side as well. Draw this other receding. Turn this. You see the way I turned it around? So we draw another edge. This is also another 30 degrees. So that's it. So at the end of the day, you can see the picture of exactly what we have just done. Now look at it. We have 30 degrees here. Here is also 30 degrees. So if you look at turn it the other way, here is also 30 degrees. They are all parallel lines. This is 30, this is 30, this is 30 from the horizontal. Then you now move up to this other side. This other opposite side. This is 30 degrees. Move up to here. This is 30 degrees. This is also another 30 degrees. So you see, we end up producing something that looks like the cube itself. You can see the diagram now from what we have just done from the question given to us here. Now, you can see that the diagram, actually this shape given to us, this is the real isometric shape of the object given to us. I'm getting that now. This is 30 degrees. So you can outline the dimensions. Yes, this is 50. From here is can project this line. This is vertical. Let us just bring out the dimensions. So this is from here to here is all right. So to project this, to draw the dimensions, so you still place this. Don't forget to use this your set square. This other this direction. So you can use this to draw the dimension. You see the same 30 direction you have to take. Then for this other one, which is vertical, you can use this. Use this. This is vertical. You can also go to this other side. So place it here. Make sure it's parallel to the drawing. So you place this on this. So you can have a shape of this nature. So this is what we have now. We have this. We have this here. You have also what we call this other point here. This for dimensioning. Just like the way the diagram here is. So you put up this dimension, the arrowheads, where you write your dimension. So this is 50 millimeter. This is 50 millimeter. This is also 50 millimeter. Please, you're writing just when you will follow just the direction where the line faces. This is another 50 millimeter. So that's exactly the shape we're talking about. You can see it's as simple as this. So these are the receding lines, as I've earlier told you. So you can see the simple shape of this object have been drawn. You can see this object now have been drawn to this. This is a cube. As you can see from the shape here now. This is a cube. So that's exactly how this isometric drawing is done. So you can see there's something there. So remember I told you earlier that the isometric drawing, as we have earlier told you, is the method of drawing of an object. Like this object now is a method of drawing an object in which the receding lines, like I told you, these receding lines are this line, in which the receding lines are drawn at 30 degrees. This is 30 degrees. And that's exactly what we have just done here. The receding lines are drawn at 30 degrees. These other receding lines is drawn at 30 degrees. And the 30 degrees we are talking about is this. This is it, the edge here. This side, and not this bigger side. You see this angle here is bigger. So don't use this side. That's the mistakes most students make. So use this other side here. So that's exactly what 30 degrees is all about. And don't make mistake of using this. This is isosceles triangle. This is 45 degrees, please. If you use this, you end up making a very big mistake. So this is the correct one to use. Use this h, use this s square, and this side is the only side to use. So you place it at your t square. Draw this other one, turn it the other side, draw this other side, then take it up again, draw this other side, and then another one, take it up this way, draw this other side. Now go to this other direction, draw this other direction. In fact, it is just only this thing, you're just working with this thing, nothing else. Draw this other direction, and then come to this other side, and draw this other direction. Take this direction and get the shape. So this is the cube, as you can see. So that's the simple block. This is the block that we are asked to draw in isometric projection. That's how to draw a simple shape block. So I hope from what you have just done now, you can really understand how to draw the simple block of this kind. So before I call it a day in today's lesson, I believe, or I am convinced, that you must have understood the explanation on isometric drawing 1, and you can now state the uses of isometric drawing like I've earlier stated, and you can also draw an isometric drawing of a simple block of this kind. So that's it. Where we draw the curtain for today's lesson. For any question with respect to today's lesson or topic, please don't hesitate to call me on +234 8069 373792 or via WhatsApp +234 8069 373792 of the same number. Until when next we meet, stay safe. But please don't forget to touch that subscribe on your YouTube. Don't forget to touch that subscribe on your YouTube